What's going on, guys? Trev back again. I'm going to bring you another video. This video is going to be doing my predictions for what I think is going to happen with Andrea, season finale, final 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, season 3. Yeah, alright, so this one is one that I'm going to be talking about probably a little bit in my predictions video for next week's episode, episode 15. But I just kind of wanted to do a video just talking about this one all together because I think it is a topic and a prediction, or something that we can do predictions on that can justify an entire video, because I think it is really interesting. If you guys recall from earlier on in the series, we met Andrea at episode 2 of The Walking Dead season 1. So she's a character that's been around from the very beginning. She's one of the original characters from the season. We actually meet her, just at the same time as we're meeting all the other characters that are a part of, Rick's group that will become part of Shane's group, I guess you could say at that point. And, of course, she becomes a mainstay in the group and is an A-list character. I would say an A-list character in The Walking Dead for sure. Both in the comic book series and in the TV series, of course. Now, I think this is an interesting decision to go against the comic book series, because if you guys have read the comic book, we're all expecting the governor to capture Michonne, bring her back, and torture her, because that's basically what happens in the Walking Dead comic book series. Now, I thought this was pretty ingenious to sort of, to play the whole switcheroo, and that we're all thinking that's what's going to happen, and then it ends up actually being Andrea that betrays the governor, betrays Philip, betrays his love, everything like that, and possibly could hurt him almost as bad as Michonne did. Not as much, because what Michonne did, obviously, is and killing his zombie daughter, that he kind of is still, he has a different view of walkers than we do, him and Milton, thinking that, you could call it kind of denial, but he kind of sees his daughter as being sort of still alive in a way, or maybe, some sense of her and who she was and all that kind of stuff. So to him, Michonne really did do that, kill his daughter, essentially, or what was left of her. So, Andrea, on the other hand, she falls in love with him, or him with her, both, I guess you could say. And then, of course, she kind of finds out what kind of person he is. And, the whole torture room just sends her over the edge, finding out what's going to happen with Michonne, knowing what he plans to do. And the scene at the beginning of the episode that we just saw, Prey, where she's kind of bonding a little bit with Michonne. I mean, never too much, but she did spend all that time with Michonne alone, the two of them, and she obviously does not want to see her get tortured. She'd rather just shoot Philip than have that happen, because it's just wrong. It's against her ethics and morals. I mean, anybody's, really. Torture is terrible. Especially, the person who's going to do it has got to be a sick monster to want to do that. So, pretty interesting that sort of how that all unravels, and ends up being her, the one who gets captured and is going to be tortured, so to speak, or seemingly. So now the question being, what is he actually going to do with her? Is he going to torture Andrea? Well, I mean, I would think that he's really mad at her, extremely mad at her. But I wouldn't think that he'd want to torture her that much, because at the same time he does love her. I would think more along the lines of he just kind of put her there to sort of put her somewhere. What's he going to do with her? Until, I think what he's planning on doing is killing everyone from the prison, right? And then after that, she won't have any choice but to kind of stay there and be with him, or be alone, because they'll all be dead if he's able to do that. From his point of view, I'm sure he thinks he can. Well, the guy's got a .50 caliber. Whatever that's called, machine gun or whatever, on the top of his damn car. He's got a freaking rocket launcher, he's got all this crazy weaponry. From his perspective, obviously, he thinks he's going to be able to just steamroll everybody at the prison. So I think what he's planning on doing is keeping her there until he kills everyone at the prison, and then, of course, she won't have any choice. She'll kind of have to be with him, or maybe he'll just kind of, I don't know, keep her under lock and key or supervision for a while, but probably keep her around, because I'm sure he does, care about her, obviously. So I don't think Andrea is actually going to be the subject of torture. Plus, at the same time, seeing that on cable television, again, it's pushing the limits of what they can do and what they'll be allowed to do. it might be crossing over too far to show stuff like that if it's not an R-rated movie. So I don't know if they're going to be doing anything like that. Plus, I wouldn't think that he would really want to do that to her anyway, because he does care about her. So that's kind of my thought process and what I think is going to happen with her and with the governor. And obviously, the governor's probably not going to steamroll the people at the prison because Rick's so tough and everybody. So you got to think that Andrea's going to be locked up in there. And maybe Milton. I mean, Milton's already kind of let the governor know with the whole burning thing that of the walkers that he's not 100% on board with everything that Philip's doing. And he was there before with Andrea. He showed her the room. So you got to think he'll probably be checking every couple of days, going and checking to see who's there, what's going on, And I would imagine he'll probably, in the next episode or the episode after that, the finale, free her. I would think he would. Because it's not going to be Rick or that group. They wouldn't know that she's there. Even Merle probably didn't know that the governor was setting up this whole torture room. Because I don't think at that point he was doing that. He had no reason to until Michonne did what she did. So I think Milton's going to be the one to rescue Andrea, so to speak. I do think so, and I think it'll happen within the next 2 episodes. Probably the finale would make sense, because it'd be an exciting scene to see them escape or do something like that while the war's going down or the whole battle's going down. Or, another thing that could be possible, the governor could use her to have Rick and his group stand down. Like, he could put a gun to her head and use her in that way, or use her as bait or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring her with him, put a gun to her head and tell them to throw their weapons down. Something like that. Could be. I can see that, but I don't think it would work. Honestly, I don't think it would work. I don't think Rick would. I mean, surrender, just because he's going to kill Andrea or whatever. So, will be really exciting to see. I think either one of those two, either he'll use her as part of this little war that's going on and tell them to throw their weapons down, or Milton will free her while the war is going on. And either way, I think she'll survive, she'll get away, and eventually will get back with the survivors of the prison, should there be any, left. Obviously, there's going to be some, but we're definitely going to see at least a couple deaths. So, should be a really exciting finale, and that's what I think is going to happen with Andrea in particular. And Milton, I mean, that's interesting. You got to think, either they're going to kill Milton, or maybe he would have to escape with Andrea or something. Because if you think about it, like, he can't really stay in Woodbury if he does that. He's going to have to leave as well, Or I guess if the governor dies, he could stay, and that would make sense. But then he would fade out of the show, and we might not see Milton anymore in Season 4, depending on which way they go. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen with Andrea and Milton and the governor, of course. And my predictions for the next episode of The Walking Dead should be up tomorrow, probably, or the next day. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. We'll see you for the next one. This is Trev. Saying peace.